Warning: some viewers might find this following video disturbing. Viewers' discretion is advised.
Greetings, my human companion. Dim the lights and brace yourself for a plunge into the depths of the human soul. Born months early on April 26, 1949, Issei Sagawa was reportedly a frail and tiny infant who almost died before his mother could give birth to him. Because of his premature birth, he suffered from a number of serious health issues, including enteritis, a disease that impacts the intestines. Sagawa's family was wealthy and successful, and he had a younger brother with whom he was very close. As a child, his father and uncle played a game with him and his brother in which they pretended to be giants who wanted to eat the two children. This allegedly contributed to Sagawa's obsession with stories of cannibalism. As Sagawa grew from a small child into a young man, however, his fascination with cannibalism took a decidedly darker and more dangerous turn. During his teenage years and early adulthood, Issei Sagawa's fixation on cannibalism took on a sexual dimension. He began indulging in fantasies involving the consumption of women's flesh, particularly fixating on Western celebrities like the actress Grace Kelly. In 1972, Sagawa translated his macabre desires into action when he unlawfully entered the Tokyo apartment of a young German woman with the intent of consuming part of her body. Fortunately, the woman managed to overpower Sagawa, who, standing at a height of only 4 feet 9 inches, was easily subdued. Upon his arrest by the police, Sagawa was charged with attempted sexual assault, with authorities unaware of his actual intention to consume the woman. In a disturbing turn of events, Sagawa's affluent father attempted to resolve the situation by offering the victim money to drop the sexual assault charges against his son. Consequently, Sagawa was never prosecuted for this crime. In 1977, 5 years following his thwarted attempt at cannibalism in Tokyo, 28-year-old Issei Sagawa relocated to Paris to pursue studies in languages and literature at the esteemed Paris-Sorbonne University. During his time in France, where he also worked as a writer, Sagawa crossed paths with 25-year-old Dutch student Renée Hartevelt in 1981. Their acquaintance blossomed into a friendship after meeting at the Sorbonne, with Hartevelt regularly visiting Sagawa's apartment to provide him with German lessons. However, Sagawa's fixation on the idea of consuming Hartevelt's flesh escalated. This disturbing obsession prompted him to acquire a gun, intending to murder Hartevelt and carry out his gruesome plan. On June 11, 1981, during a dinner and German practice session at Sagawa's apartment, he stealthily approached Hartevelt and fatally shot her in the neck while she was engrossed in reading poetry. After murdering Renée Hartevelt, Issei Sagawa engaged in necrophilia with her lifeless body. Prior to this gruesome act, Sagawa reportedly hired several sex workers and brought them to his apartment. His intent was not to engage in sexual activities with them but rather to fulfill his desire for cannibalism. However, each time, he found himself unable to go through with the act of killing them. Following the murder of Hartevelt, Sagawa proceeded to consume portions of her flesh. He described experiencing sexual pleasure during the gruesome act. Some parts of Hartevelt's body were eaten raw, while others were cooked before consumption. In an effort to conceal the evidence, Sagawa purchased 2 suitcases to hide the remains of the young woman. This disturbing sequence of events highlights the extent of Sagawa's dark and macabre actions. After placing the remains of Renée Hartevelt in 2 suitcases, Issei Sagawa called for a taxi, and with the assistance of the cab driver, loaded the 2 weighty pieces of luggage into the vehicle. Astonished by the considerable weight, the cab driver humorously inquired if the bags contained a deceased body before driving Sagawa to a nearby park. In the Bois de Boulogne, a public park in Paris, Sagawa discarded the suitcases, which were soon discovered by 2 joggers. Upon opening the luggage and finding Hartevelt's remains, the joggers promptly informed the police. Law enforcement connected the suitcases to Sagawa with the assistance of the cab driver who had transported him to the park, leading to the unfolding of a disturbing criminal investigation. Following the discovery of Renée Hartevelt's remains, French authorities conducted a search of Issei Sagawa's apartment. Among the findings were remnants of a meal that included cooked human flesh, along with a photo ID card belonging to Hartevelt. Sagawa was subsequently arrested, but rather than facing trial for the murder of Hartevelt, he was placed in a mental hospital for a 2-year period during which psychologists evaluated his mental state. With the assistance of a prominent attorney hired by his father, the French courts determined that Sagawa was legally insane and unfit to stand trial. Sagawa spent a total of 4 years in a French maximum security psychiatric unit, marking a period of confinement that underscored the complexities surrounding his mental health and the legal challenges in addressing the gruesome nature of his actions. While in the French mental hospital, Issei Sagawa wrote and illustrated a novel titled In the Fog. Despite being labeled as fiction, the book narrated a tale of a man who murdered a woman, engaged in necrophilia, and consumed parts of her flesh. Many readers speculated that the novel was actually a thinly veiled account of Sagawa's own crimes. Despite objections from both Sagawa's and Hartevelt's families, who were against the publication of the book, In the Fog went on to become a bestseller. The novel propelled the confessed killer into controversial celebrity status, attracting attention and notoriety in both France and Japan. The publication added another layer of complexity to the disturbing saga surrounding Issei Sagawa. After spending 4 years in a mental institution, Sagawa's lawyer convinced French authorities his client would be better treated in a Japanese facility. Consequently, Sagawa was deported back to Japan in 1984 and immediately sent to Tokyo's Metropolitan Matsuzawa Hospital for evaluation and treatment. Japanese psychiatrists determined Sagawa had a personality disorder, but he was not legally insane, meaning he could be held criminally responsible for the crimes he committed against Hartevelt. French officials, however, did not want to help Japanese authorities prosecute Sagawa for murdering the young Dutch woman, and so after spending 15 months in the Tokyo hospital, he was released into his parents' care. Following his release from Matsuzawa Hospital, Issei Sagawa seized the opportunity to capitalize on his notoriety and the morbid interest the public had in his crimes. He started writing a weekly column in a popular Japanese tabloid magazine, leveraging his infamy to engage readers. In addition to his column, Sagawa authored and published several more novels, illustrated manga, and even edited an anthology centered around cannibalism fantasies. Expanding his reach to television, he made appearances on various shows, including guest spots on cooking programs where he consumed raw meat, alluding to his gruesome act of cannibalizing Renée Hartevelt. Financially sustaining himself through these ventures, Sagawa also entered the art world, selling numerous paintings, many of which featured nude women. His ability to transform his dark actions into a source of public fascination and profit added another layer of controversy to his post-release life. In 1992, Issei Sagawa made a controversial appearance in Unfaithful Wife, Shameful Torture, a low-budget adult film that blended explicit sexual content with extreme violence and murder themes. The movie depicted an underground club in Tokyo where women willingly subjected themselves to drugging and fetishistic sexual activities. Within the film's narrative, a disturbing turn occurs as someone is portrayed dismembering one of the women, with Sagawa simulating the act of consuming a portion of her flesh. This unsettling portrayal further added to the notoriety surrounding Sagawa, as he continued to exploit his dark past for participation in sensational and explicit projects. In 1985, 4 years after the violent murder of Renée Hartevelt, crime scene photos depicting the gruesome aftermath were leaked to the press, and a popular French magazine decided to publish them. These images revealed Hartevelt's nude body, which had been mutilated and cut into pieces by Issei Sagawa. The release of such graphic photos deeply disturbed the people of France, as well as Hartevelt's family and friends. The publication of these pictures sparked public outrage, leading to the arrest of a reporter responsible for their dissemination. In response to the controversy, law enforcement took action by seizing over 200,000 copies of the magazine containing the explicit images. The scandal surrounding the circulation of these photos also prompted members of the French justice system to address the challenges posed by the notoriety generated by the infamous cannibal celebrity, Issei Sagawa. The case underscored the delicate balance between the public's right to information and the need to protect the dignity and privacy of the victims and their families. Issei Sagawa's notoriety reportedly had a devastating impact on his family. His younger brother developed asthma caused by stress, his father had to resign from his job, and his mother even tried to take her own life. When Sagawa's parents died years later, he was not allowed to attend their funeral. Sagawa, who lives on the outskirts of Tokyo and has a daily caregiver due to extreme health issues, admitted that he still has a desire to eat human flesh. While he has claimed he would never again act upon his cannibalistic urges, stating he has no desire to kill another human being, he can't help but see a beautiful woman and wonder what she might taste like. Sagawa did, however, claim he ultimately regrets committing cannibalism. On November 24, 2022, at the age of 73, Japan's most loved cannibal dead. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to click the subscribe button to unlock a world of darkness with the Grim Reaper tales. See you next time.